Okay, today we're going to talk about permissions. I'm signed in as root, and I'm in my home directory. Touch, just another file.txt. List-al. grep for just. These are my permissions. This first one indicates the file type. It could be a P for a pipe device. I'm gonna wait till he gets it. Just give him a minute to settle it. I created a blank file, and then I looked at the file long format to see all the permissions. Is it working?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just changed the USB ports.
Okay. So I just created a blank file and then listed just that file in long format. These are my permissions. This first character indicates whether it's going to be a pipe device, a character device like a device driver, a block device, another device driver like a parallel printer. Instead of sending, this will be like a COM port or a USB port, one character at a time. This will send a block of characters. It could be a link, like a shortcut. It could be a dash if it's a file, or it could be a D if it's a directory. I might be missing something, but that first bit indicates what type of device what type of file it is. So this right here is telling me it's just a regular text file. I don't know whether it's a compiled binary file or just a regular ANSI file. If you run the file command, I can't remember the command. There's a command that we looked at a while ago that shows, oh, I need to put a character in it. Echo 1 into it. Then do file, and I can see it's an ASCII file, just a regular text file, as opposed to a binary. I'm going to try to put everything in Notepad just for the purpose of the video and not writing anything on the board. Then the next 9 characters so these bits indicate the permission for the root user account, or the user owner, the group account. These are the group permissions, and this is everyone else. So we have user owner bits, read, write, no execute in this case. Group owner, read only, no write, no execution. And everyone else has read only permission. So user owner, group owner, then other, everyone else. Old school, we would have called that world permissions. Then lastly, I said there was 4 sets. In those 3 sets, there's some special hidden bits. And I'll go into the special bits where they're at. This bit, this bit, this bit is the next 3 bits for the special bits. And I'll go into that. What is an ACL? What's that acronym stand for? Access Control List. We call those ACLs. In traditional Linux, this is all you could do. You couldn't give multiple groups permissions like you can in Windows. You had the user owner, the group owner, and everyone else. That's all you could do. Most of the time, that's all you really need. But for, I would say Windows compatibility and add multiple groups or multiple users access to one file, they did something called ACLs. And basically, if there's a dot here, there's no ACLs. So if there's a dot there, there's no ACLs. If it's a plus sign, there are ACLs. It's just to indicate whether they're set or not. It doesn't really show you the ACLs. There's other commands you have to run to actually see the ACLs. So right now, we have a dot, so that means there's no ACL set. I'm just going to turn some ACLs on just so you can see it. Set ACL dash M. I can't remember the format. Sorry, guys. Okay, that's the format. It's going to be user permissions. The username is student, because remember, I could have an account called group. I could have a group called student as well, and the permissions I'm giving is read, write, execute. I can bang list, and I can see that now it's a plus sign. So I have ACL set. I'm going to say, I'm going to get rid of them. Now they're not set. So, I'm going to do some of this over. So I have 3 sets of permissions I'm going to start with. User permissions, group permissions, group owner, and then other. Now, where do we get this group owner? How does that group owner come into play? How does it set that group owner?
It gets created, but when you create the user.
When I create my user account, I define who my primary group is. When I create a new file or folder, that is the group owner. My primary group will be the group owner. So this is automatically defined when you create the user account. You can specify a primary group with a lowercase g when you create the user, or you can just let the default happen and it'll create a primary group with the same name as the user account. So we can give the user owner read, write, execute. Read, write, self-explanatory. Execute, if it's not on, you can't execute that file as a script, or even if it was a compile file and you didn't turn on the execution bit, it would never be executable. So the executable bit needs to be turned on. If it's a folder and you give someone read permissions and you don't give them the ability to execute it, they'll never be able to open that folder. Incidentally, that's the same thing as Windows. A lot of people don't know, because when you check read on a folder, it automatically checks execute. And I will tell you this, guys, I am going to trick you on the test. I'm going to tell you to create a folder and give this user read permissions. You need to know that that user also needs execution permissions to open the folder. You know, a lot of times when you're talking to a manager, they don't know how permissions work, so they just grant this user access to that folder. That means read and execute. So for a file, and I want to give someone read access, just read access. But if I want to give a user read permissions for a folder, I need to give read execute. And again, for the group owner, I can give read execute. Now, if I want to share a file, I just need to add that user to that group, and that user will have that permissions. And then we do other. So understanding that is not hard, but we have these permissions called octal. I have 3 bits here. If I have 3 bits, and each bit can be turned on or off, 2 possible values, that would be 2 to the 3, 8 possible values there. So I'm going to say this is 2 to the 0, which has a value of 1. 2 to the 2 has a value of 2 to the 2 has a value of 4, and 2 to the 3. That's right, but it's not what I was trying to do. 2 to the 1 has a value of 2. 2 to the 2 has a value of 4. Okay, so if this bit's turned on, it'll be 1. This bit's turned on, it'll be 2. This bit is turned on, it'll be 4. So if I wanted to turn, so this has a value of what? 1 plus 2 plus 4. So this has a value of 7. If I wanted to turn these 2 bits on, what's the value of this bit?
1 plus 4, 5.
If I just wanted to do this, So if I want to set those permissions, I can do something like change mod 754, just another file. So I have read, write, execute turned to 1, 7, read, write, read, execute turned to 1, 5, then read only turned to 1, 4. What if I wanted read, execute, read, read? What would the command be? These are the user bits. 5, 4, 4. So change mod 544 bang list. Read, execute, read, read. Read, execute, read, read. Don't put that, get rid of this last slash for you to see it. Right now, guys, what is that first character telling me? It's a directory. What permissions does the world have? Read, execute. What permissions does the user owner have? Read, write, execute. Who is the group owner? Root. Root the group. Who is the user owner? Root. This right here indicates there are 2 files inside of that directory, or 2 entries inside that directory. I'm going to list that directory, the inside. List. Sorry. I need to show hidden. What are those 2 entries? What does dot mean? 1 dot. Current directory. And what is 2 dots?
Parent directory.
Parent directory. So those are if you create a blank directory, the 2 entries are the current directory and the parent directory. Same as Windows. What did I do there with that command? Change own to that user account. So now student is the user owner. Nope, no, not. Change group, and guys, I think we have this group called faculty. Change group and change owner. Guys, if you don't have a group called faculty, just do group add space faculty.
So that's what I would have needed to do, because when I was having a problem making the home domain U1, root owned it, and I couldn't write anything to it.
Right.
Okay.
Because
Well, what's that
U1 fell in this category, other. So in this case, other doesn't have permission.
What's that if you don't have faculty?
Do group add, one word, space faculty. Then rerun that command.
So, if you want execute permissions, it has to be XR,
If it's a directory.
if it's a directory. Okay, if it's a directory.
Okay, but yeah, if you want to execute a file,
You have
like
to
as a
have
script.
to read it too.
Right, but for directory, if you give someone read permissions without execution, you can't, they won't be, when you open it, you're actually executing that directory.
Okay.
To open a directory, you actually have to execute it. And we have that same thing in Windows. Every time that they put it in one permission. So if it's a sorry, that's not a directory.
Well,
They kind of clump it together, in fact.
So if you can go to edit or finish, you get more permission.
Yeah. But you know, I'm against. You can get more granular permissions here. But the thing is, over time with permissions, they get out of control real quick. I think this actually, if you could avoid this, you should try to avoid this. In fact, I only need most permissions is modify, read, write. If I modify, read, write. They have this because it's a folder. You know, they kind of group it together. I could get granular and go inside and look at, there's actually one read, one execute. But when I click this box, it checks them both inside. So it's the same concept for Windows. To open a folder, you actually execute it. So I want to give user owner, or actually student, read, write, execute. What's the command for blank there? Because remember, this is the way we talk. We don't talk in commands. Your boss is telling you what permissions he wants that folder to have. So he's going to put it in English. Now you got to convert that English statement to a command. What is the command? Go ahead.
750?
750 blank dir. Read, write, execute, re-execute, 0. Change mod 750 blank dir.
Let's see.
Student has read, write, execute. Faculty has read, execute, because it's a folder. Even though I only ask for read, it's a folder, I need to know to put execution. The world has nothing. Guys, I'm gonna create, this is gonna give me an error for some of you. Guys, just do this, user add U1, it might give you an error, no big deal. User group add create a user one account, create an engineer's group account. Change own U1 dot engineers blank dir. This will work for a file as well. I can change the user owner and the group owner with one command. This will work as well. The separator can be a dot or can be a dot or a colon. Do I need to make it larger? Okay. One of these is Unix only, and one of these is Linux. But Linux will accept both methods. I can't remember which one is Linux and which one is Unix. If you're on a Mac, only one of those will work. The other one is the Unix one.
The Unix would be colon, wouldn't it?
It might be. I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah. Okay. So so I can change the permit. I can change the user owner and the group owner all in one fell swoop. Okay, guys, is this confusing anyone? How before I move on this octal stuff, because now it's going to start getting real confusing real quick. Okay.
So with the file permissions, they can be the read and the executable. But folders, the read and executables, they can.
Yes, if you want someone to be able to read a folder, they have to be able to execute it.
I have a question with my red hat because it's not letting me.
I wouldn't have taking notes.
Check your junk. Go back to
Read only would just be hard.
Right.
Oh,
Hey, did you ever get in?
no, I'll be honest with you, I have not had a chance to do it. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I really haven't. Between my other two classes and work,
I understand.
haven't gotten around to it.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, good, good, no. What if you wanted somebody to, change the style, you just want them to read it all?
Right.
Yeah.
No. Oh, okay.
Right, for directories.
But you can't open the directory. But you can read the file.
Cause you need to execute to open it, what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when you open a folder, you're actually executing the folder.
Unless you go into sudo, I said change EXL, but then at that point, you're saying, big arrow, like, cancel that change. We actually got that.
What was your email address?
POW?
No, not you.
It was DEWD.
I was in it twice and then kicked myself out once and he redid it for me.
Okay.
It like expired or something.
Yeah.
No,
Fire logs,
I went to log in, it wouldn't work.
Here's the only thing I can do. I don't know what this is going to do for you,
I have no idea what's going on.
but try to sign in and see if it forces you to set your password, or see if it sent you something.
It didn't show me an email either, but the reset thing worked.
Okay, it's POWER@mail.broad.edu. Yeah, so I already have you at this.
It says I'm there and I changed my password, but when I go to log in and if I try to reset it, it says that I don't exist on in their system.
Can you log in? Okay, log in and leave it alone.
Oh, can I log into Red Hat?
Yes.
No, I can't log in. I tried the top, because we originally set it as PA111. Let me try again real quick.
Okay.
Let me try.
Next week, if we get it solved, I'll bring in a tattoo artist and tattoo.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that.
I want to tattoo it right to your paw.
That's a good one.
I don't know, you have to call Red Hat. I have no, it's actually, the company that, what is CA?
795.
And 6661.
Can't. It's a Canadian company called.
I get it, Red Hat.
Okay, someone had the phone number?
Oh, the Red Hat, yes.
Okay, listen, on the break, he's gonna put it up here on the board.
All right, I will.
Okay,
Only people, man.
yes.
Real quick before you go ahead, for when you use the G password to add people to a group, you had to use lowercase a and then big G.
No, lowercase a and just the group name. So, G
I'm
password,
talking about to make them as a secondary group.
this will make them as a secondary group.
Oh, it will. Okay.
Right.
When did you use lowercase a big G?
You wanna keep them, right? You said that in the group?
No, big, look, user add, uppercase G, engineers, that'll make the secondary group engineers, lowercase g, faculty, that'll be the primary group.
Fake users?
Sorry. Yeah, the user account name is called fake user.
You never had one option that was lowercase a capital G?
Okay, look, so,
Yeah, if he was like.
no, okay, no, so if I did, user add dash AG,
Yeah, that
That's
one.
what I'm saying, yeah.
no, it's not user add, because there's none to keep. It's user mod dash AG, student fake user. So that means, so I'm going to do ID.
Rewrite, overwrite their group.
So this command made fake user a secondary member of the engineers group. This appended student as a secondary group.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what command you used the option little a big G with. That's only with user mod.
Right, only with user mod, because there's no reason to append if you're creating the user for the first time. He's in no groups. You know, it might even work. Let's see. AG. No, it doesn't work.
Okay.
Okay. What does this command do? G password. Now, fake user
Administrator.
is the administrator for the student group. Guys, we have a bunch of Linux Plus certifications that are about to the vouchers that are about to expire. We have 25 of them. So, if you want to jump on and go study for the test, it's not an extremely hard test, but if you want to start studying for the test, okay, this is South Florida. What is free in Spanish?
Gratis.
Okay, so think of free.
Is that gonna make the test in Spanish?
No, they called it, I don't know why they called it free in Spanish, but you know, just think of free exams, grass exams. You can go, scroll down to, you see CompTIA.
Oh, wow. Was all a study guide?
It's kind of cheating.
It's no such thing. If you're not trying, you're
Okay, but in any case, the CompTIA exam, CompTIA.org. What? The certification is the latest one. I'm trying to find the number. And what is it? Okay, look. So the new exam is XKO004.
Okay. Yeah, they have that one. I'll look about all these.
Yeah, you gotta navigate and make sure you get the right download button. Guys, practice.
Is that the answer keys too?
You know, there's no guarantee these are going to be your questions.
No, but it kind of gives you like what to expect.
Go read, yeah, exactly. Go read, go research.
But the exam's not 30 questions, is it? It's 90 questions.
It's 90 questions.
There's only 30 questions.
I want to see what you see.
But it's something I need to say.
Guys, this test is relatively new. Now listen, when brain dumpers hit an exam, the vendor tends to make the exam more tricky. But the fact that this is relatively a new exam, it's not going to be tricky, it'll be more straightforward. You're entitled to the voucher. You don't have to do any tests in this class if you pass. You know, if you pass the certification class, I give you an A. Okay, so you do with what you will, guys. If you want to go back and look at some of the old test banks too, you know that's practice. Linux.
That was from
Guys, Linux-training.be. This was the textbook I used before I went with Red Hat. If you go to the Linux fundamentals, it's not a textbook like we're used to. It's mainly all commands grouped into certain logical orders. So it's updated constantly. You know, so if you want to work with a file, what does this command head do?
Head do the first 10 lines,
Tail.
last 10 lines.
Cat.
This is the file.
It displays a file or joins two files together. Tack.
Back, like from the bottom.
More and less.
Let you scroll.
Right. More goes one page or one line at a time. Less does the same thing. Guys, I didn't show you this, but if you have a binary file and you want to look at the strings in the file, okay, so look at this. I'm going to cat an executable file. I'm going to cat sbin/ip. Look what it did to, okay, sometimes it'll corrupt your terminal. Guys, if your terminal gets corrupted and it starts displaying Chinese characters, go to terminal and reset.
Reset.
Right, reset and clear will clear it. But here's the other thing. What if you're not in a terminal, you're doing it through PuTTY or something? Just type reset. Even if you can't see it, it'll still type the right characters. And just reset will clear out your buffers for your terminal. So if I do strings sbin IP, it'll only show me printable characters. Instead of showing me all those compiled weird characters, strings will show that. I love this book. Students were a little intimidated with 365 pages.
That's a light read.
Yeah. Something to do on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
But it's a real good book. Study for the certification.
Would you mind telling us where you got that one again? This is not off of the gratis, right? This was a different page.
Linux-training.be. It's an open source textbook that is supported by the community and updated every 6 months. They have one for system administration, storage. Marlena, there's a woman. I'm sorry. What's your name, Marlena?
Mariela.
Say it slower.
Mariela.
Mariela. Okay. There's a woman who used to come here as a student, then became our network admin for a while, then moved on. Her current career is well above 100,000, and all she does is storages. She's a storage specialist, just setting up raids and stuff. A lot of money, just because she knows this. She would be good for your
club?
Yeah. She'd come and talk.
Okay.
Her name is Yvette. Everyone knows her. Just go to any of the teachers and say, "Do you have Yvette's number? I can give it to you."
Okay.
Or email address.
So during
Thank
break?
you.
I'm sorry?
So I'll get the number during break?
No, I'll give it to her because you're part of the club too.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll text her because I was
Okay,
just
okay.
texting her about something
Alright.
else. But don't forget to write that other number on the board.
I I will not.
But she would be good to speak at your club.
That'd be awesome.
But she'd have to come in the evenings or Saturday or something because she works. Okay, so good books here, guys. Kind of cheating. Probably shouldn't recorded that and put it on YouTube. But
Edit,
You
edit,
can
edit.
edit YouTube after the fact.
It's kind of, it's got a little thing, you know? This ain't horseshoes, they don't count.
okay, so I will now pause and we'll go and play. I'm paused. Now this method of setting permissions, change own with 754. That's called octal. There's another method called symbolic. So I can do change mod user owner equal read write execute, group owner equal read execute, and then the name of a file. Or what's U stand for? User owner. G. O. A. All. So what is this going to do? Remove execute from the user owner, the group owner, and other.
Okay, remove. Why is it removed? Because mine is?
So list.
So it says change one all.
What will this do? What will this do? Nothing. Nothing. What will that do?
But you didn't say all, so just,
It assumes all.
it assumes all.
So if you don't specify U, G, O, you don't need to put the all there. I'm going to do change mod help. I have this recursive. So I have a directory called blank dir. So I have a folder called blank dir. Inside of that folder, I have another folder called second dir. Inside of that folder, I have a text file called some file. .txt. I want to set the permissions all the way through. So I want the user owner to have read, write, the group owner to have read, write, and other to have nothing for this file. So change mod, recursive, user equal read write, group equal read write, other equal that was one line, guys. So what will other equal? No permissions. So list long blank no, let me do it this way. Give me 1 second. Let me see why this isn't working like I'm thinking. Oh, guys, did I not create the file?
No.
Some file?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay, that's why it's not working. Blank dir second dir sum file .txt. No, it's still not. Yeah, it's just not working like I'm like it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Okay, but what are the permissions for blank dir? Let me do if I take away the octal. Let me see what happens if I take away the octal. If I do it in octal.
Permissions were
6.
read, write, execute.
No. It's not working like I'm thinking. Let me do it this way. Let me try this way. I'm trying to set the permissions at one level. I think I know what I'm doing wrong. Okay, this is what I'm trying to do. list long grep for blank. Okay, guys, run these commands right here. This one right here. Just run that command right there.
Is it because you were like putting the whole path of?
Right, that's what I was messing up. So I want every file under here to have these permissions. Read, write, nothing. Okay, and then run this command. Does it have the permissions that I want?
Yeah.
Well, kind of. It's good for here, but it's not good for the directories because I need that X. I don't have the X on the directories. So what happens if I want to set the files to this, but I still need the directories to have the X on? But I don't want to turn the X on here. I just want the X on the directories, but the files should not have the X. So what I can do is set the permissions like this. I'm putting an uppercase X.
For the directory specific?
Right, so if I go inside the file, if I go inside the directories, does some file have execution turned on? But does the directory have execution turned on?
After the second one, yes.
Well, the first one too, yeah.
Oh, I did?
Yeah. So by doing an uppercase X, it'll only set the execution bit on directories, but not the file. Unless the file already had it on. If the file had it on, it'll leave it alone. So if you're using the recursive and you want to set a permission on a bunch of files, and you don't want the execution turned on, you can go and do this. It'll turn the execution bit on for the folders, but not for the files, unless the files have it. I know that's a little confusing. When you read the book, you're going to be more confused. And they're trying to, look, for example, the following command recursively sets read-write access on demo dir and all children for their group owner, but only applies the execution bit to the directories and the files that already have the execution set for users, group, or others.
What?
Okay, guys, if you want to take a picture of this, I think this is a better explanation of the use of the uppercase X. The above example, the above command sets the executable attribute according to the following two rules. If the file is a directory, then it turns it on. If it's a regular file, it does not turn it on unless it's already turned on.
Unless it has execute set.
Right. So here, this will allow me to set all my files like this, plus turn on the execution.
I got it.
Okay. But in this case, the fact that I'm using an equal sign,
So now I was like, alright, that's why.
it will remove execution in this particular case. Because I'm saying I don't want the execution turned on. It's kind of confusing. I just want to point that out. You know, that comes in handy. Because a lot of times you're dealing with a user account who has a bunch of directories under directories under directories. If you go and just set the permissions like this, at that point, he won't be able to open up any directory. by putting that X as an uppercase X, that only turns it on for the directories. And in this case, I'm forcing it. I'm not doing a plus sign. It actually, I'm saying equal. So just be aware of that. So what would this do? Change mod, read. Why didn't this work and this work?
How are you gonna change it?
Now, I just want to point this out. Guys, remember the previous example, I said the all is optional, but I added a plus or a minus.
Right.
But if you want to set it, again, it's optional, but don't forget that equal sign. You have to put the equal sign. So
So both those statements mean the same thing.
both of these statements mean the same thing. This is an error because I didn't put the equal sign.
Did you put a plus?
If you put a plus.
I could have put a plus or minus or an equal, but don't people think, well, if I just set it, RWX, that means set those, that means equal. Well, no, it won't. You have to put the equal sign.
So the A is irrelevant in this syntax?
And it would be irrelevant in this syntax as well. Change mod dash R minus X. That will remove execution all the way down. List long grep for blank. That also will prevent, what I just did will prevent anyone from opening up in any folder. The symbolic stuff can get really tricky quickly. If I was to run a command, I would run this no problem. But if I was documenting my command, I'd probably show this, so people knew exactly what I was doing. Okay. Remember, permissions are sometimes set differently on files versus folders to achieve the same thing. Here I need the execution bit turned on. Here I did use the uppercase X. Okay, now the confusing part. I said there was 4 sets of permissions, right? Listen, does anyone have a problem with this before I move on? Okay. I have these special bits. This bit is overlaid with that bit. This bit is overlaid with that bit. This bit is overlaid with that. I can have several possible values here. What does a X mean?
Execute.
What is a dash?
File.
That means that has no execution turned on. What a T means I have execution and set user ID on. Lowercase, so this means I've set user turned on and execute. So this is only execute is turned on. Nothing is turned on. Set user ID is turned on and execution is turned on. An uppercase T stands for only set user ID turned on. Okay, we're going to go into that right now.
Is it in place of or it's attached to?
In place of.
Okay.
Okay, so this is 2 to the 2, 2 to the 1, 2 to the 0. 1, 2, 4. So if I turn 4 on here, it will affect this bit. I don't see these permissions. They're not like a set. Remember, we have 3 groups, but it's displaying 4 sets of permissions. The special bits, instead of having 3 bits over here, it's overlaid on this 3rd bit on each one. So I'm going to turn, I haven't told you what this does yet. I'm just showing you how to set it. So change mod 4 7 5 5. Okay, sorry, not that. Don't worry, guys, I made a mistake here. This is lowercase s, uppercase s. The T is in another field. I'll get to the T. Okay. So basically, if it's a lowercase s, the execution and set user ID is turned on. If it's an uppercase s, only set users turned on. If it's a lowercase x, only execution is turned on. If it's a dash, nothing's turned on. Okay, so let's go into. So this is that 4th set of permissions. So I'm going to turn on. I want to do this. 1, 2, 3, special. 1, 2, 3, user. 1, 2, 3, group. 1, 2, 3, other. Set user ID, set group ID, sticky. I'll get into what those mean later. So I want to turn on set user ID, leave set group ID off, leave sticky off, turn read, write on for the user, read, write on for the group, and nothing for other. So what is this?
4, 5, no.
Or? Okay. So in this case, what will be displayed here? How will this look? It's a file. It will be read, write. What will be this 3rd character? This is turned on. This is turned off. Okay.
Dash?
X equals execution only. Execute only. Lowercase s, execute plus set user ID. An uppercase s equals only set user ID. Dash equals nothing. So, is the set user ID turned on? Yes. Is the execution turned off? So what will be displayed? Uppercase S. So we're going to do change mod 4660, just another file. Guys, this is what's going to impress the ladies.
Oh, Oh, yeah. How are you feeling right now?
Impressed.
Impressed.
Depends.
In the right circle.
Okay. Change mod, guys. I'm just going back to 0774. Just okay. Change mod. User equal read write execute special. Group read write other equal. So I can do it symbolically as well. Be the same thing. Read, write, read stands for read, R stands for read, W stands for write, X stands for execute, S stands for special. This bit is for set group ID. If this is a lowercase x, execution for the group is turned on. If it's a dash, nothing is turned on. If it's a lowercase s, both the group execution, set group ID is turned on. An uppercase S, only set group ID turned on. This bit stands for sticky. Back in the day, when we didn't have a lot of hard disk space, it would take, a lot of memory. You would take some file that's in memory and page it to the hard disk. Take it out of memory, put it to a hard disk, and swap. And at that point, it would run slower. So you would turn the sticky bit on to never allow that file to get paged out to the hard disk. It would always keep it in memory. But now it has a different meaning, and I'll go over what that meaning is. But if the sticky bit is turned on, no. What do you think X does? Dash does. Nothing's turned on. What does X do? What if I wanted to turn execute and sticky on? Yes, T. Okay.
That's
I
right.
didn't come up with it. Lowercase t means the sticky bit and the other execution is turned on. What is uppercase T? The user execution is turned on and the sticky, user execution is turned off and the sticky is turned on.
Okay, so lowercase, both are on, uppercase, one off, one.
Sticky on, execute off, upper.
Right. Okay. Change mod. Other equal. No, other plus S. So what would this do?
Execute and set user ID.
It would add, you would assume the special bit. But it doesn't work. But it doesn't give you an error either. It just does nothing. So when you're dealing with the sticky bit, you have to use the T. So if I want to turn sticky and execution on,
Hold on. You just broke me, hold on.
when you're setting the permissions symbolically for the sticky bit, you have to use T.
TX.
T for I don't know what. If you're setting the set group ID on symbolically, you have to use S. And the same for set user ID. Okay? So this, if you're doing it symbolically, you have to use S. This one you have to use S. This one you have to use T. So that here's a way to think of it. A lot of people would think that S meant special. It did. It means set. Why they jumped over to T here, I don't know.
Sticky. There's a T in sticky.
Yeah, there's a T, but there's also an S. Okay, so
So in symbolic, what if I put a capital T in symbolic, would it still work or no?
One second. I'm gonna. One second. I'm gonna remove it. So it's lowercase. So now I'm gonna add it.
Well, okay, so without the X will be the whole.
Well, it didn't give me it gave me an error. It doesn't like uppercase T.
Okay.
It doesn't have a problem with S. Doesn't give you an error, but it doesn't do anything. But with T, it gives you an error. Uppercase T gives you an error. Okay. Now I want to explain what those things do. So IP adder help. I'm trying to find, give me 1 second. I'm trying to find a command. IP adder down. Okay, look, here's how I can bring an interface up. IP link. So, guys, I'm going back to the old IP commands, not using the NMCLI. We should get away from this, so we should be using the NMCLI. But this command right here allows me to bring an interface up or down. So, if I do IP adder, I can see I have an interface called ENS5. So I can do IP link, and it was link name, set IP link, set link name up or down. So set ENS5 down. And that turned off my interface. You know, like I disabled it in Windows. And I can do IP link show. And I can look at the links. No problem. So I'm going to sign in as, I'm going to exit to sign out as root and go back to student. So can students run this command? IP link show.
Yes.
So the student user can run this command, can execute the command normally. But when I do IP link set ENS5 down or up, I'm not permitted to do it. At the beginning of the class, I told you root derives its power from being ID 0. ID 0, that's root's ID, can't be blocked. So when these programs are doing something administratively, they're not looking at permissions. If you're ID 0, they're going to allow you to do it. If you're not, it's going to block you. So but student user account has the ability to execute commands, but doesn't have the ability to make any changes. You know, like bringing interface down or bringing interface up. If you turn on the set user ID, if you have permissions to execute it, when you do execute it, you're going to execute it as the user owner. So root owns that command. So when student executes it, and student does have permission to execute it, it's going to be executed as root. So we're going to sign back in as root. Change mod user plus set user ID for sbin IP. That's the command, the IP command. If I do a list long sbin IP, okay, now student isn't the user owner. Student isn't a member of this group. So what permissions does student have for this command? None of those, none of those, those. So student is allowed to read, execute this command. Who is the user owner? Root. Because I turned on the set user ID, when student executes it, it actually is going to execute it as root. So I'm going to sign in as student, or I'm exit out of root, sign back in as student now. So now when I try to bring the interface up, it allows me. Because at that point, I'm going to execute it as root.
As root, it says the command is not valid, but after changing the permissions for student, the command works just fine. Out here, operation, here it says unknown, is unknown user set. This, is all these lines are the,
Yeah, because you've got the word set.
oh, I was trying to figure that out.
Okay, so I'm going to give you another example of that. So guys, I'm going to run VI. I'm just going to run the VI command. So I'm going to jump out of VI by hitting colon, bang, PS, AEF. This is like task manager. So while I'm still executing VI, I want to look at all the tasks that are running so I can see who's executing VI. Colon, and when I put that bang mark, that means run a shell command. In VI. So who is running VI? Okay, I'm gonna hit Q, sorry, Q, bang, and just get out. So I'm gonna SU as root, again. Guys, where is VI located? Where's VIM? Actually, I'm executing VIM. Where's VIM? Where do you think it's stored? Don't have to think. Don't memorize that kind of stuff. Do which VIM, and it'll tell you where it is.
Oh, wow. Trick question.
Yes. Listen, guys, if you had me on on April Fool's Day, I come in, I give a pop quiz of 150 questions. And in that, I will have the day's date. You know, like first question, what is today's date? And questions like that. Like the third question, fourth question, I'll say, what is normally celebrated on this date? People type in the answer. And then, yeah, and they still keep taking the test. And I said, I'll go, the next question will be, are you aware that you are a victim of a practical joke? People go, no. Go to the next question.
What are you teaching for spring? I'm taking your class.
So change mod. What's the command to turn on set user ID? Quickly. Well, no, but you know something? If I use octal, I have to know the current permissions. U plus S for user bin VIM. So I'm going to turn on the set user bit. For that file. Let's sign out of root, so we go back to student and try to run it now. Exit, VI. So now when I run VI, I'm going to run it as root. I'm going to hit colon, get into extended command mode, bang, PS, AEF, dash AEF. So now who is executing it? Okay, so I don't know why I keep doing this. That didn't even help. So I'm going to type history to see all my commands. Guys, this right here is a devastating command. This is absolutely the prettiest hack I ever know.
What?
Whoever executes VI executes it as root. So that means I can edit any configuration file that I want. Listen.
Without the wheel being.
Prettiest hack ever.
So you don't have to worry about anything else.
No, go into VI, colon, bang, run any command I want as root.
That sounds like an inherent security threat.
We just don't say these things while it's recording.
No, but you know something. Listen, if you want to, you know, if you know you're about to get fired, set that. Okay, I'm gonna pause and we're going on break.
She said it because she's like obsessed with this video and like I was one of them already. And Misha was like send it, and then he's like, Daddy, show.
I'll be like, Misha, I'll be saying how we know. Just gonna look at me and be like,
If you go to a meeting today, please say that.
What does that command do?
Which command?
Read and write.
That's like April Fool's command.
So I don't have, if they're set the same, I don't have to put separate ones.
I have a question, is this?
Unless you're teaching me to act, I don't care.
Somewhere,
Yes.
Okay. Just toward the end, I'll show you.
okay.
Okay. Hopefully I can show you. Okay. Guys, do you remember we talked about Etsy profile? It sets something in Etsy profile, depending on your user account. UMass. So this is special user group and other. My UMask is turning this and this on. Meaning, I'm going to set my UMask to nothing. UMask. So my UMask will not be set. So guys, in Etsy profile, it sets this value. So it's a global thing. If you're under a certain user ID, it sets it to this. If you're another ID, it might set it to a different value. Every user just check what the UMask is. So guys, without my UMask turned on, it's completely off, and I'm going to touch new file. List long new file. What are the permissions? Read, write, read, write. Do you think it's wise for every time root creates a new file, everyone has read, write access to it?
No.
So if I set my UMask back 0022 new file 2.txt and list long new file asterisk .txt sorry, I did the wrong thing. I'm going to set my UMass back. Then I'm going to touch new file 2.txt. List long new file asterisk. So what is the difference? It removed write access in the group and world. So basically, by setting your UMask, you're saying to keep those bits off when you create a new file or folder. So it's there by default. So I'm going to remove my UMask again. And mkdir new dir. And then I'm going to put my UMask back on. Make new dir 2. List long grep4 new dir. I'm going to pull this up as well. List long new file asterisk. So I see both. Okay, now look at this. The default permissions on a Unix box for new directory, read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute. Most distros set the UMask. So for a Red Hat, the default will be read, write, execute, read, execute, read, execute for directory. For a file, the default permissions are read, write, read, write, read, write. With the UMask set on most distros, it's read, write, read, read. That's different than in Windows. I don't care where this directory is, where this file is at, or where this directory is at. It doesn't matter what the permissions are on the parent directory. In Windows, when you create a new file or a folder, it inherits the permission from the directory that it's in. We don't have that in Linux. These are the default permissions, regardless of where the file or folder is at. In Windows, if you create a new file or folder, it inherits the parent's permission. So that can cause a problem. So if I create a new directory, under root, I'm going to create a directory called data. Now, let's say user ID U2. We should have a user ID U2. What's my primary group for user ID for user U2? Text. So let's say I make the owner of data, change group to faculty. For the data directory. So list long grep for faculty. No, list long root grep for faculty. What do I need to do to allow you to write to that? Let's change the permissions, guys. Let's do, no, you come up with a solution. I need all faculty members to write to that folder. U2 is a faculty member. What do I need to do to get U2 to be able to write to that folder? Several steps. Right now, can any faculty write to that folder?
No.
So how do I fix that? Change mod G plus W. Data. Now what do I need to do to get you to write to that folder?
Add it to the faculty.
Do you want me to use the user mod, or do you want me to use gpassword to do it? User mod A, uppercase G, faculty, U2. ID, U2. I can now see that U2 is a member of the text group and the faculty group and the staff group. And who's my primary group? So I'm going to SU as U2, touch, data, some file.txt, list long data. Maybe not. List long data. Who is the user owner of some file? who is the group owner of, which is to be expected. U2 created it, U2's primary group is text. What happens when any other faculty member goes to try to mess with this file?
You can only read it.
Yeah, they don't have any permissions, you know, they really don't have any, and I can mask off. Guys, what if I wanted to mask, let's do this, just to emphasize this. I'm gonna X out, no, I'm gonna go back to U2. You mask, I wanna mask off only these bits.
Oh,
I only want to mask off these bits. Zero, 7. So when I create a new file or folder, what will be the permissions? Touch, data, some file 2.txt. What are the permissions going to be? Think of the default permissions. And think of my, will read write, will the group owner have read write?
Yes.
Will execute, will they have execute?
Yes.
It's a folder, it's a file.
No.
Will the group have read write?
Yes.
Will they have execute?
No.
Now will other have any permissions?
No.
Okay, so let's look at that. List, long, data. So what permission, if another faculty member came into this folder and tried to do anything to this file, would he have any permissions whatsoever? So what we need to do is override the default behavior, saying instead of using your primary group when you create a new file or folder, we want the group of the parent folder. That's set group ID. So I'm going to go back, I'm going to exit here and go back to root. Change mod, group plus set group ID for data. List long root grep for data. So right now, I turn on the set group ID. Who is the group owner of that folder? Faculty. So if any users create a file or folder inside of data, faculty will be the group owner. So you're essentially forcing the group ownership. Instead of text being the group owner, faculty will be the group owner. So whatever your primary group is, will have no bearing in this case. Any files or folders created in here, faculty will be the primary group. Will be the group owner.
And that's only because you set the group ID.
Right. Guys, setting the set user ID has no effect on a folder. Essentially. If you do it on a folder, they'll execute it as that user. The user owner. So it's essentially, you know, who cares if you open a folder as root or, so essentially it doesn't really have any effect on a folder. This has no effect on a file. Setting the set group ID on a file has no effect. It just doesn't do anything. It will allow you to do it, but so I'm going to sign in as U2. Touch, data, some file 3.txt. List, long, data. Guys, if I run the ID command without a user account, it's going to show me my info. So basically, my primary group is still text. But when I created a file after I set the set group ID, now look who's the group owner. Guys, why did my UMass go back to the default? When I signed back in, it reread Etsy profile, sent it back to the default. Because remember, when I type UMass, I'm just changing in memory. When I log out and I log back in, it's going to reread all my profiles, Etsy profile, and reset it. So don't worry about that permissions, but that's what I did with the set group ID. So set user ID makes something execute as a user owner on a file. It essentially has no bearing on a directory. It just executes that directory as a user owner, which is nothing. And then the set group ID has no bearing on a file, but if it's on a directory, you're going to inherit the group ownership. So whatever the group ownership is for the file or folder, for the folder, all files and folders under that will have the same group ownership, regardless of your primary group. Then lastly, the sticky. When I give someone write access to a file, what else do I give them? Delete. You inherit delete. So if I'm going to set my UMask here. I'm going to reset the UMask 007 and touch some file 4.txt. No. Touch data. Set the UMask. Create a blank file. And I can see that read write for the user owner, read write for the group owner. The world has nothing. Guys, you want me to show you all the commands again?
Yes.
I did that. The number 15. So right now, faculty will be the group owner. Faculty have read-write access.
Say I don't have permission.
I'm sorry?
Say I don't have permission. To make the file.
No, that just says what the default permission is in your create a file. FXL. Okay, so to ID YouTube. So faculty has, remember the faculty, so do this, dash L, space, forward slash, this, wrong slash, space, graph, okay.
Yeah, big becomes that.
Yeah, it's a little easier.
You don't have to do it.
He was doing that to me before.
So MKDIR.
Oh, I need a did record for a group.
Yeah, that one. Forward slash. Okay, so you have no permission. So do this. Change mine. To space, /data.
For that.
Someone throw it
Right.
into the bath water.
Okay, now it's your one.
Right.
With the bath water.
We want to set group ID, and we are giving user owner and then group owner for.
Before the capital S was just.
Only execution, only set group ID.
Only UID, not
Yeah, only GID, set GID. Guys, I wrote this, but in reality, this is how you see it. Set user ID, no space, or set group. This is how they write it a lot of times, not just U or G. Okay. So if I look at anyone in the faculty group has read write. If you give someone the ability to write, you give someone the ability to delete. So I'm going to exit out of here. I'm going to say user, guys, I did user mod already. I'm going to do this G password -A U3 to the faculty group. I'm going to add U3 to the faculty group. Okay, I'm going to sign in. No, I'm not. I'm going to sign in as U3. Remove data, some file 4. No problem deleting it. I'm going to jump out of here and sign back in as U2 and create that file again. UMask 0007. Guys, what do we have to do to not having to keep set this? vi tilde dot bash underscore profile. Let's set it. It's kind of a good exercise. My home directory, I'm looking for a file called .bash underscore profile in my home directory.
I got a warning. You don't have to.
The warning just means,
It said,
you sure you want to do it?
right.
Yeah.
How come you didn't get a warning? You didn't put something.
Also,
Yeah,
he
dude.
is the professor, he doesn't have to get one.
I should have gotten a warning because I think because it's an alias.
It's right. It says remove write protected regular empty file.
I got the same.
I got no,
I mean, maybe I.
No, I got the same.
I didn't, cause you guys ain't cool.
I didn't have user. Because I had deleted all my users.
Did it actually work? Do a list of data.
What? What do I have to do?
SU space dash space U2.
Yeah, it worked pretty good.
When you're going into U2. Then the
Wait, I know why. Well, for you, you're not running bash, you're running shell.
Oh, okay.
That was weird.
Okay.
Because I didn't have, I deleted all my users the other night, and then I added it.
Yeah, I'm not, okay.
And that night was.
I just got one, it worked, I just got this one.
I should have gotten the warning, it should have been, because I didn't do the force, because remember,
Yeah.
the only thing I can think of is I messed up my alias from a previous class. So instead of running remove -I, I'm actually running remove. Okay. So guys, I'm going to customize the profile for only this user. So every time I sign in, it'll have my UMass set to 0007. So, UMask 0007.
Specific environment.
I want all at the end, press lowercase o, and type UMask 0007.
Lowercase
That puts you in insert mode, adds a line under your current line, and that's where you start. Okay. Listen. I press cancel. Guys, this was a good day. We're starting to diverge and people aren't all in the same place. So what we're going to do is come back next time we meet. We're going to continue with UMass and the sticky bit. Okay, I'm gonna delete everything so we're all on a clean page and all on the same thing. So let's end here for today. I'm not going to delete anything yet. I'm just going to leave everything alone. Next time we meet, that's when I'll delete. Give you time to get on the system and back up all your commands and stuff. So I'm just going to wait through. Okay. So guys, I'm going to show you how to back up your commands to. First, can you do this? Ping dot. See if you can ping 8.8.8.8. That command, we'll run it, exit.
Oh, yeah, we don't have network connectivity.
You don't?
You're not supposed to. Yours does? Yeah, see, we're not supposed to.
I'm not saying anything out loud, sir. I will not incriminate myself.
So, guys, if you can't ping,
Were you here at class 40?
Because we took down the link?
You were supposed to take it.
so guys, here's how to back up your command. I'll come to you. History. Redirect my output to temp 8-28-2019.txt.
Wait, how do I stop the thing?
The ping control.
Escape. Is this? I think this one you can. Control C to stop pinging.
This is gonna give me a
Oh, yeah, I think you're gonna give me that.
Guys, be aware I'm signed in as root.
Oh.
Yes.
Run that command. That'll back up all your files, all your commands to that file. Change mod 777 temp 9. So guys, you're going to go open up a browser, sign in with your whatever cloud provider you want to use, and upload a file. Go to the temp directory, find that file, upload it to Google Drive, OneDrive, whatever you want to do.
What's a Google Drive?
I have IP link.
How do you 9 is just like screen chat? Oh, gotcha. No, it's just you said all complete so fast. You want to do this over. Okay, so wait, Google, where are you? Google.com? Not on Google.com? That works. Your connection through.
What do you say it is?
In a temp file.
Oh, did you pull it up like that?
Template?
Yeah, that is very fast. Google it.
Have to open.
That's all you can do. That's all you can do. Alright, for sure.
Thing works.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you got it.
Go to the root.
Was it at home?
No,
scroll. No, okay, where it said public?
Wait, what?
Templates.
Where is this?
Just type right here. Forward slash TNT.
Open it now.
So did it say it?
He did, but, that's a good, that's open.
So about saving things, guys. Can I sign in? Hey, look at that. I'm like, oh wait, why is checking the speed easier every time?
Did you find yours? Did you guys find yours?
I haven't looked for it yet, but I'm trying to
They
get,
don't break
trying
up.
to understand why.
I tell you, I find it. Oh, it's 'cause it's not
Oh
stacked.
shit, I found it.
My code.
Wait, I think I found it. I found it.
Where you
I
find it?
found it. Oh yeah. It's on other locations.
It's right here.
Okay, go to other locations.
Oh, that's what it is.
That's what kind of, yeah.
And then computer.
Show me, I was trying to.
And then type.
Yeah, that's.
Wasn't that easy?
I was just trying to type my Google, trying to upload it.
And computer.
Okay.
So guys, go to your cloud provider, navigate to the temp directory under root, find your file, upload it. We're done for the day.
I'm opening up a Firefox.
I'm going to, yeah, right within the Linux, go to here, open up Firefox. I'm gonna stop this video.